Hey guys, so today we're going to be making some beef stew. I had this beef stew meat in the freezer and I had some other few ingredients and I was like, you know what, let me just put together a simple beef stew. So I started out by washing and cleaning my meat. I'm going to season it with some slap ya mama and not mine. So we're going to of course season it with that slap ya mama. We're going to go in with some black pepper, some granulated garlic, some granulated onion powder, a little bit of sea salt and accent, and then some, also I'm going to be using some New Orleans style Creole seasoning. Okay, we're going to use some Creole seasoning on that meat as well, and then we're just going to mix all the meat up, and then I am going to partially flour this meat. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of flour over it because I'm going to fry it, half fry it in a skillet or in a pot first before I put it into my main pot to start putting together my stew. So I have a little bit of oil in the pot right here, and I'm just going to fry it. I just want it to get brown a tiny bit on a few sides, or all the sides if possible. Sometimes, depends on what type of pot you use, the flour might stick to the pot, and that happened in here. So I had to switch pots, which I was going to do that anyway, but I was going to put it back in this pot that I fried it in, but I wasn't able to do that. So I just used my other pot. So I started making my roux, you know, a little bit of flour, oil, and get it to the brownness of your liking, and then start adding in some fresh onions, fresh jalapeno. Of course, we got to use that Lipton onion soup mix, and we're going to fresh garlic, and we're going to season the water with the same seasonings, okay? And then I use some diced tomatoes. Normally I would use stewed tomatoes, but since I had a bunch of diced tomatoes, I just use those instead. And of course, did I say fresh garlic? Fresh garlic, fresh jalapeno. And then I'm going to put some red bell pepper towards the end. We're going to use these carrots. I prefer the other carrots, the thicker ones, but I had a bunch of these carrots, so we're using these carrots, some potatoes, and bell pepper. We used red bell pepper, not green bell pepper, because I didn't have the green bell pepper. But if I had the green, I would have used green and red. And this is what the stew is coming along to look like. We're just going to let this cook slow and low until the potatoes, carrots, and the meat is very tender, you know. And that'll be it, and that's all, okay? And you can have this over rice, or you can have it with cornbread, or you can do both, okay? So the person that was eating it, they wanted their stew over rice and they wanted cornbread, so I made a quick cornbread. I just used Jiffy, and it's kind of like a modified box because I added a little bit of cornmeal in it and some sugar, and that's all. Look how this turned out, so delicious. And this is just what the end result looked like. I put it in a plate over rice. They didn't want too much of the, you know how stews is kind of got juicy. They didn't want too much of that juice on, you know, on their rice. So this is why I just put it in a plate instead of in a bowl. And I used a paper plate. Yes, I did, because you know what? We work smarter, not harder. Don't need to be. I already had a bunch of dishes.